Good morning. This is the office hour for Oregon State University PDC Pro Winter 2024. This is Zoom number 3, and the next lesson due is lesson 3, Site and Regional Challenges, Sector Compass, labeled in some parts as week 7. And that is due next Monday on February 19th. All right, let's get rolling. Got 3 people. Good morning. Good morning, Jesse.
Hi, Susan.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Oh, Patricia, Lucia. I thought we had one more here. Okay. All right. How are you guys doing? How's everybody?
Life's pretty challenging.
Yeah. Jesse, did you end up switching sites?
No.
No, okay. It might have been somebody else. There was yeah, okay, it was. Similar name, different group. Also a Jesse with an S, but it did different. Okay. Patricia, how are you?
I was the test case. First of all, I want to thank you so much for all your feedback. Number one thing, I take to heart every comment, and I look up everything you said, and I keep it. So you've been a huge help. And okay, and you know how you said don't do anything with the end of your property until we discuss it, because you don't want to have debris flows and stuff. Okay, well.
Uh-oh.
I have got great photos. Okay, so that terrible rain, somewhere there was 12 inches of rain. We got, in 2 days, we got 10 inches of rain. So where I thought at the end of my property, there's a valley divided, and I was concerned that it wouldn't hold. My property held, except for one place. The very end held like crazy. The neighbors, washed, went down to the next neighbor. That was partly the lower neighbor's fault, because he had illegally cut into the property, dug down about 7 or 8 feet. So when the water came from my neighbor, washed out a lot of stuff. But I had two washouts that went down to my neighbor. However, one held with this the little ice plant you're supposed to, that the fire department recommends. No, I call it ice plant, but it's that little tiny stuff, and it's been there for years. So it washed, and the bottom of the ice plant trapped the mud in a big U shape. I got a clump that's 3 feet high. I don't know how many feet long, trapped under ice plant hillside, the hillsides down. But so it stopped. However, it kept going down. Then it skipped a terrace, went down to the next one. But the next one, my neighbor goes, "That's your fault. It's coming by my house." But that's where I think I had I wrote that I'm constantly trying to figure out how to mitigate for a bad neighbor. And since he can't stop using his tractor, and years ago he took his tractor and went in and dug many, many yards of dirt out of my property, flattened his property, make a turnaround, made a ramp, ripped out some of my trees and my sprinklers. Well, now my neighbors are calling it karma. Okay. I'm thinking it's karma too, because right now, if I was thinking about turning this monitor around, because as I look out at the hill, for you people this is common sense, but for many years there's been a hill a couple 100 feet long, very, very steep. Almost none of it's planted. Okay. Well, those babies came down an easy 200 feet, whoosh, 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 like 4 places. The person's house got backed up with 4 feet of mud. Anyway, La Habra Heights is
Exciting times.
Yeah, so, but I thank you for telling me not to do anything because it didn't, it just, the worst part where I thought I had a problem held like crazy.
Good.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm glad I could help. But as you're talking about that, I just, for some reason, I keep calling in these sites to consult on. I think probably because it's the rainy season and people are suddenly outside, at their properties and like, oh, we need help. I'm like, I can't help you in December, January, like, and these are like civil engineering
Oh,
type landscapes, right? So can I bring your site up just for a minute so people have a
oh,
copy?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I actually have a couple neighbors that are going, we're going to bring our friends over because yours didn't slide farther,
Oh, good, good, good.
And I went, but I do have a slide, so it's kind of a bummer.
Well,
but you know
that's a good comparison too, though, right? I'm trying to find
Oh, yeah.
So this is like one of those really steep slopes, right? And then you've
Yeah.
got stairs on a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let's see, where's the,
let me see your design site. Okay, you've got such an interesting property shape here too. So good morning, everyone that is just arriving. Yeah, I'm trying to stop me if you see what I'm looking for, if you see what I'm looking for, but what you're talking about,
okay.
where it slipped. Yeah, here's your base map.
Okay, where it slipped, right where you are, there's two buildings. It gave out above the top.
Okay.
And then it gave out and then it stopped. And then it ran down that little thing and then it dropped again. But when it dropped, okay, I've got green stuff. This is after weed eating. My neighbor has not a blade of grass below that yellow line. He has got so many fabulous mudslides. I can't believe it. So, but at the end of the property, if you look to the yeah, right where you are,
okay,
all my side, very, very, very steep. All that held. My neighbor, his pond, he decided it's raining, I'm going to empty my pond. So that created a slide on his side, but not mine. So I feel good about that, although I'm, I got my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But, it's, I guess I'll throw gravel on gravel on it or something.
Yeah. Did you see the SALT, the Slate Agricultural Land Technology?
Pardon me?
I'm gonna mute somebody. I was getting a lot of feedback here. I think,
Sorry, I was switching over to my laptop so I could see that. Couldn't get the close.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be better. So, just saying.
Oh, and another thing is I got some good photos of landslides. Oh my God. So this next project, I have good fresh. But anyway, there on my property that you're looking at, there is a red line at the top. And years ago, I have the littlest, tiniest old shingled house. My neighbors have big ass houses, Anyway, not all of them, but mine's really little and old, but it's in the upper left-hand corner. But anyway, I always felt like if anything happens on my property, don't ruin the yard, don't ruin my tree. So it's always like this. So anyway, the fire marshal, this is a big fire area, came by and was inspecting. He says, do you mind if I walk down your property? Anyway, this was a number of years ago. And having to do this project, that's why I'm bringing this up. If we hadn't done this project, I would have forgot. And I'm going to see the new fire chief on Thursday night at a meeting. But the red line is specifically for access for fire personnel to be able to carry all their stuff on them, because they won't jump over fences.
Yeah.
They can't get back over it. So all my neighbors have got fences, except for me, on the whole ridge. Okay. So I told him, I said, well, what can I do? This would be like 12 years ago. What can I do to make it so you would be able to get access to the hillside? And I said, I know my house will be the first one that gets burned down. And he said, no, you're the last one, because although your house is an old shingled house, you're between one little tiny street and one, like within about 300 feet, you're within the only two fire hydrants. So if
Oh.
you pick a path, then we can defend the whole hillside and your house will be the last one to go.
Yeah,
So even though my house is junk,
Huh,
be the
interesting.
last one to go. But that might be a strategy that somebody else might think about, is as getting the fire department to have
Yeah,
access to their property, because it's super important on a hillside.
yeah. Okay, well, that segues us nicely into sector challenges and the compass, the sector compass.
Good.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that you fared well in all the rain. How did everybody else doing okay? I think I can, yeah, you can all, anyone can unmute themselves if you want to jump in. Just a little quick check in. Okay. Well, I see you're all here, so you clearly survived if you're in a rainy spot. Okay, so the upcoming assignment, the sector challenges, and this is always, it feels like it's a really nice site and regional challenges in the sector compass. I see a chat here. How steep is that? My company works on hillsides often for anti-erosion. Okay, so you can see, Jacob, I don't know if that helps you out there. So you've got, you know, just the most steep, I guess you'd have about 50, what's that, 50 feet rise over.
Yeah, it's not quite
100 feet rise, so it's about 50%, right? You get that right?
I don't know what that, yeah, I
Yes.
guess.
Okay.
What's the spacing between those individual lines set out on this one?
About 10 feet.
Yeah, he's 704, 714, 723. So you're looking at the whole rise is about, you know, it's like, let's just say 676 minus 723. So it's about 50 feet, 25 feet, 25
Oh, wow.
feet. So about,
Yes.
50, and then so her scale down here, this is why it's important to have a really nice legible scale. So this bar is about 100 feet. So, you know, if I'm just totally ballparking this, but if you took that bar, I think it would stretch from about here, and this is about the steepest slope. So I'm gonna say that's about 100 feet. You've got 50 feet of rise. Well, no, you don't quite, because this is the 714 foot line. So a little
that line, that's 125 feet.
That's 125 feet, that stretch. Okay, there you go. So that's even less then. So you've got, what did I say, 714, 676 minus 714. It would work out the same, it would just be negative. You said 125 feet. So that's a 30% slope, which is
Okay.
15, it's a 15-degree slope. So
That's not bad.
it's not crazy. It's yeah, but it's also prone to erosion. You know, it's these it's friable clay soil.
Right.
So.
I have the same thing out here in Colorado, and what we'll do is we'll put down geotextile fabric, which you can also do, just let stuff grow in between this as well, which is a lot more green, of course.
Yeah.
Rip wrap, so it's like 5 to 18 or 5 to 24 inch size rock, because you had mentioned gravel, and we'll put that on the slope, and we'll tow that in a foot below on the bottom where it starts, do it a couple feet thick all the way up the hillside. It can get just like loosely placed, and you can even create little pockets, or you can do little terraces in it to get plant growth to go. But when you cover it with that, it's way cheaper than a retaining wall. The water flow is normal, natural. You can make it actually filter your water to get sediments, because you got that line you have to keep clean. So like it can help sediment filter through there. And then you can do it around like little outbuildings and things on hillsides. And we do it all the time versus retaining walls when you have the distance up to about 45 degrees.
Okay, I don't really know what you're talking about, so just
I'll send you some stuff.
Oh, okay, because when you say don't do gravel, do something else, like bigger rock?
Larger rock, yeah.
Larger.
5 to 24 inch rock is what we do.
Wow. Okay.
Or you can get VTC, vehicle traffic control rock. It's a product, it's a little bit cheaper. And that'll be 4 to 15. That does the trick. But it'll hold a slope like that pretty hard.
I really appreciate you guys, you know, obviously Susan, and I thank you for your input, because I feel like I'm flying blind.
Well, there is there is an element too of kind of experimenting on, like what we call safe to fail space, to find like a spot where it's like, okay, if this, this doesn't work. But I mean, if you've got somebody, like Jacob saying like, okay, we've tried this. Now, did you check out the SALT technology, the sloping agricultural land technology?
I didn't because this changed my life, having these slopes around here flying.
Yeah, okay.
I would-
Let me put together a set of resources. I'm just putting a note to myself here for steep land, because I'm getting all these clients beating down my door that are like, what do we do with this? And I'm like, well, you sell it and you move else. But they're on like really, they're seriously, they're like they're 100% like really, really steep slope. So.
And your area got a ton of water, didn't it?
We got 7.1 in this month.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't as insane. Like the storm kind of split and went south and north. Like Oxnard, Ventura North got hammered, and LA got hammered, and Camarillo was just like, oh, it's a little rainy. But we've got more rain coming this Saturday, so we'll see.
What was the material you guys were talking? Is like a rollout kind of material? What was that?
The geotextile fabric?
Geotextile fabric.
Yeah, I actually just found some resources on that. Yeah, if you, Jacob, maybe you can comment on this. The one that I've seen recommended a lot is Mirafi. Have you worked with that, or do you have a specific?
No, we work with that one because a local supplier carries it.
Okay.
And I can't keep offhand think of which one's more permeable than the other, but I would say once they start getting sedimented up, I just refer to them as non-permeable.
Yeah, okay. I'm not a huge fan of layering plastic into your landscape, partly because I've removed a lot of it, but that's really kind of a personal decision too, if you want, if that's going to be what's going to hold things together.
You don't need it for this. I mean, it keeps the weeds out, but
yeah.
like if you were to like do something else, get something else growing amongst it, you can leave little pockets and help it spread. Like somebody said, vetiver, that grass.
Yeah.
That's like we've done a couple installs for a company around here that introduced me to this class. And we use the rip wrap, and I showed them that. It's it's a
what did you call that grass?
Skill. Somebody said it's vetiver. I'm not sure if that's how you say it.
Vetiver grass. And there is a grower in Carpinteria that was growing vetiver commercially. And if you just search vetiver Carpinteria, here's the SALT. It's a PDF guide. I just dropped that in the, I think I put in one of the comments, Patricia, on your assignment, but I'm going to put together a specific set of resources for steep land. I've got some plant lists to make. If anyone's doing, this is going to come up later. Well, constructed wetlands, I'll get onto later. Yeah. Okay.
Really appreciate this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that was just a thank you, big thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of like this intensive time of year when we for this, for this course, when we get in, we're not quite at the water systems yet, which it would be nice if the water part came over the summer, so you could actually be doing some of that planning. But now you've got that background. So okay, so how's everybody feeling about assignments, getting stuff in? Anything you want to jump in quickly and ask before I go into the actual assignment, the lesson 3 coming up?
Well, I have a quick question of something that I didn't even think would be a problem, but hearing this talk, it's making me think about that. So the house, the farm that I'm doing, there's the farm is on a lower grade. There's a steep slope in front of it across the street. So I'm thinking that they must have cut that slope to get the road, and then it flattens out a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to do the research to see if there is a problem if an unstable slope, but because of earthquakes and then also being in a floodplain, I'm wondering if that's something that I should be like focusing on of this house across the street that's on a much higher elevation that has obviously been cut to have a road go through. So I guess, is that something, I mean, how do we find out if that is a problem or could
So-
be a potential problem?
Okay, I'm gonna bring yours up on a share now. So are
And
you
I-
referring to like the house on this side? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
that road. And I took a picture, if you go down to today's assignment, I did put a picture in there that I had taken of looking from the property over to the, okay, so go down to the site. Okay, go down, number 45.
Oh, I see, okay. You know, I mean, they've got a maintained road there. I mean,
It's
and
right on, it's
Mm.
right on a fault line, and so,
Yeah.
and it's also in a floodplain,
Uh-huh.
but not right directly, so I don't know. I just was thinking of those plants, you know, like maybe if they did more vegetative roots that could stabilize it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it could, and Jacob, feel free to chime in here, but I mean, it would certainly help. Like, I'm sure, you know, some kind of erosion control, even if it was like the, you know, the straw, what is it, the straw tubes, would help. But I would think like it's not, to me, just for like from this picture and from looking kind of back through the other slides, I would think that if you had any major slippage on that, it's going to go down the road.
Oh,
Less likely to come across it because you're gonna have a ditch, like because it's a maintained road, you're gonna have a ditch on either side
right.
that's gonna catch and then start channeling material down the road. So you know, you could have a bunch of material come across, you know, onto your site. Your house
she-
right up there. Yeah, go ahead.
No, she's caught. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. When I've seen that, it's a problem for your upstairs neighbor of having his property drop, but it usually doesn't make it across asphalt unless it's like, you know, cataclysmic 100-year stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't be
Worry.
overly concerned about that. It would be a nice
Okay.
opportunity for someone to do some erosion control work, but yeah, I think it would be a bigger concern for him than for you.
Okay.
Yeah, give him my number.
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
Utah.
yeah. Yeah, Jacob, where are you at? I'm sorry, I forget.
In Colorado, but it's, you know, it's too cold right now.
You need some work, right? Okay,
It's got a warm place for me to go. I don't have to work.
gotcha. Jesse's in Mexico.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Got an extra room.
Do a little call out there. Okay. All right. I'm going to flip over to the site and regional challenges. I just, if anyone's catching the replay, I want to make sure I've gone through a little bit of this. Well, are there any other questions burning that came up from those discussions? No. Okay. I'm seeing thumbs up. That's good. Oh, I know. I did get a few questions about, oh, now I can see everybody. There we go. About submitting late assignments, you know, submitted in the wrong place and then had to repost it and then it came in as late. It's looking like it's late. We kind of hesitate to broadcast early on in the course that there are no late, like there's no grading penalty for submitting assignments late. So you don't have to worry about it. If you're submitting it on Tuesday, it's perfectly fine. My days, because the way our lives work out, I have Tuesdays and Thursdays are my designated working days in the office. I'm now getting Wednesday afternoons, so long as our childcare holds up. So I'm very rarely, almost never actually working on Mondays. It is really nice for me to be able to check in Monday night and see who's submitted assignments, get my marking list together, and then I'm like super organized, ready to go on Tuesday. So it is very helpful if you get your assignments in on Monday, 9 o'clock or Monday at some point. That said, you're not going to lose marks if you're submitting late. If you've got just a crazy life week, things are like, you know, the walls are falling in and, you know, you're spinning plates all over. It's okay to submit late. You do have a 2-week break coming up after you submit lesson 5. So after the water assignment. So you've got a 2-week break, and then we've got a Zoom call, and then another week before lesson 6 is due. So there is an opportunity to catch up there.
Good.
However, it's generally like the further behind you get, the harder and harder it gets to catch up, because stuff kind of starts to snowball, you get overwhelmed. Really getting your base map nailed down now is super helpful to you for the rest of the course, because then you've got something reliable to go back to. You've got a scale you can rely on. If you've got that scale right and a clear base map, you're good to go and move forward. If you kind of pardon my French, but if you kind of half-ass it and like rush through it and don't get that clearly done, you're going to need to probably end up going back and fixing that, and that takes a lot of time. And I've seen students have to do that, and it can be really frustrating. They're like, oh, now I understand why you said spend time on the base map and getting that clear. So just so you know, and the first couple of weeks are always just kind of sorting things out. If things are getting posted in the wrong place, and it's totally fine, totally expected. Never hesitate to send me an email. If you sent me an email and you haven't heard anything back, send me another email, or send me, through Gmail or Canvas or whatever. Don't be afraid to like get up and wave your hands and say like, hey, I asked a question, I need an answer. So that's a bit. And yeah, Ren, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. So in regards to what you just mentioned about reaching out to you, as perhaps I was not really understanding the platform, is it best to, if I want to reach out to you, send you an email directly, or should I post somewhere directly on Canvas? For example, when you provide feedback for the assignments, when we post, or what is the best way to also make it easy to for you to be in touch with our questions and feedback?
Yeah, probably the most foolproof way is to email it through Canvas, because I've had a few emails like yours. Like I don't know if something slipped through the cracks. I can't find it in my Gmail if there was one that you sent that I missed. But I do occasionally miss notifications in my Gmail. I get the emails and I get notifications from Canvas, but when I open up Canvas, it's immediate, like, oh, there's 3 emails in my inbox, or 2 or 5 or whatever. So then I see them. The issue with that is that I can't open up Canvas on my phone. So if I'm doing a little bit of work, like, sleep trapped at night, with my kid on my arm and doing a little bit of work on my phone, I can't open up Canvas, but I can open up Gmail and shoot off a quick reply. So sometimes if it's something really pressing, send it to both. And just say, hey, I'm sending it to both to make sure I get your attention. And that's totally fine too. If you put it into the discussion, I will not see it until a marking day, almost guaranteed. So.
Okay, understood. Yeah, because when I receive your feedback, and you said your assignment feedback is on this link, and I saw that the feedback was for assignment 1, that's when I try to answer on that same thread. I don't know if you've noticed that there's a little sort of like a comment thread on the side.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I commented there, I sent you an email, and of course I was being human, I realized maybe it's something I'm doing wrong, so I might as well just let them know that I sent you an email, but I can forward them again so you can have a look at those, and perhaps yeah, just
okay, yeah, that's unusual. I'll check the discussion, and I didn't get anything about assignment 2, just like I didn't get anything about lesson 2, just lesson 1. So yeah, just re-forward them, and then we'll make sure that you're all squared up. Okay. I see somebody in the chat here. Yes, Dryland Farming Company, Casita Springs and the nursery in Carpinteria. Oh, great. Thank you, Lucia. Okay, that's awesome. Great to know. I haven't reached out to him before I had any luck helping. So Amanda Lamb. Yes, Amanda, I did get your feedback into your folder.
Yes, I did finally see it.
Okay, my apologies about that.
Yeah, I also had the same question as Ren, because I tried emailing, also tried using the chat. I wasn't sure which way was the best way to reach you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe just say default email through Canvas, or send both, email through Canvas. I'm gonna see here in my Gmail. Oh, you guys are looking at my Gmail now, so you're seeing my 51,000 unread emails, right? Those aren't yours. Okay, so I don't have.
Okay, that's strange. I wonder if I sent it to the wrong, or maybe can you not include label permaculture? Maybe it slipped through the labeling system.
Yeah, it should have come through my OSU. There it is.
Yeah,
It didn't. Okay, so these two.
Yeah, I sent it on the 8th, and then when I didn't hear back, I tried on the 11th, it looks like. But then I did check recently, and it did show up. So I don't know if
Okay,
there's something about it not updating right after you like upload it, because
okay.
it did eventually appear.
Yes, okay, yeah, so I think I transferred it over and didn't reply. Okay, my bad. Actually, Ren, let's see if yours are lurking here too. Gmail and Yahoo just went through a big snafu. I think, no, I don't have any in red. Okay. All right. Yeah, so send it through Canvas and Gmail, and I'll be more. Yeah. I'll see if I can set my filters a little tighter so that it makes sure it comes up, because generally like my OSU PDC filter catches student emails, so I'll double check on that. Okay, so we're almost at 11. Okay, so the site and regional challenges assignment, same for me. Oh, okay, thanks, Amanda. Okay, Jacob, you're posting pictures. What are these of?
Oh, the riprap.
Oh,
I thought you might want to see that.
great. Okay, thank you. Whew. Okay. I love this group, you guys, because like you guys show up for office hours and you've got questions, we've got things to chat about. I never have to be like, hey, Poke, is anybody alive out there? So lots of energy. Maybe it's just January energy or something. Okay. And oh, I'm gonna open that up. Okay, so this is pretty, I mean, I think it's well explained. It's pretty straightforward. You're basically this is almost like in-depth SWOT analysis of your site, of the area around it. So you're looking for things like earthquake risk, fire risk. This is basically it's problems and weaknesses. What's getting in the way of you resolving any of those weaknesses? I think it's pretty well prompted. If there's any cost, sometimes this is hard. The cost due to unresolved problems it can be really nebulous. Like it can be really hard to quantify. Like if you've never actually gone about solving the problem, or it isn't directly costing you something. But if you can put an estimate on, like, say, how much water is this wasting to you, like even if the cost on that is minimal, if there's like a large water waste, if you've lost trees or you've lost like productive capacity, it can also just be costing you in like time and headache. Sometimes land things are causing like family conflicts. So any of those can be filed under costs. So don't just think of like financial, you can think of like material, emotional, social, like community costs if you're on sort of a more public site. So that you can feel free to think about that in different ways other than just the financial costs of not fixing something. Yeah, so exactly right, not just economic losses. Okay. So yeah, cultural, socioeconomic challenges. Often this is things like local homelessness, job security for people. If there's issues with like vagrants or people passing through the site and leaving trash, it might be wandering livestock. Any of those things are can fit under cultural and socioeconomic challenges. And then there's going to be some strengths and opportunities. Sometimes that is people's wandering livestock and they're actually depositing some fertility as they go through. Often it's like neighbors that are particularly supportive or sympathetic to what you're doing. It can be local industries or local local resources or sources of materials. So kind of you feel free to go nuts. Include like plenty of photos and images if you want to have an extra slide of images. Like it's nice to put pictures to illustrate what you're talking about. And then of course, if there's any maps or like research articles, newspaper articles that support that, that's also helpful. Similarly here, likely disasters, often for my group, because we're either in a limited geographic range or kind of a similar climate, which is why you're in my group. Wildfire, flood risk from atmospheric river events or like really changing weather and climatic patterns. So heavy rainfall, long dry season is often cited in here. To say wildfire, earthquake. Those would be definitely the big ones. And yes, like I said, sometimes a flood risk. So I know some of you are having issues with like roads flooding out and that sort of thing, like flash flood issues. So yes, Ren.
Thank you. I'm facing a very particular approach to this. I was doing a research proposal for a master's degree here in Malta, where I am, so not quite the same area as you guys, but it's very interesting how I'm visualizing the socioeconomic, environmental situations here. So I hope it's okay if I cite a couple of studies and papers and whatnot. Nothing too deep, because I understand that also for review it can be a bit difficult. But I want to be able to not just list them out, but also explain them a little bit, in the sense of saying, this is the situation that's going on in this case and how it relates to mine. In the sense of photos, I don't have that many. I don't think the photos that I can snap will bring the context of it. But if I bring more reports or publications and whatnot, will bring more context. Is that okay? Or in case it's not, or it is, what focus should I take in the sense of how simple or how detailed should I be with this? Because I trust me, Malta has so much to talk about. If I could tell you guys about how intricate this situation is, and also how fascinating it is, well, I would, but I won't.
Okay, that's a great question, and especially for another context. So your comparability there is at Malta. I believe you're a CSB. Your Copenhagen is a rating as a CSB.
Correct. Yes, it is.
Okay, so you're quite similar. Like, so we're a CSB or CSA, depending how close. So it's like there's a geographic climatic similarity there. So even though you're in another part of the world, and yes, you're going to have very different challenges. So what I would look at is, think of this, because each of you have your own set of goals that you kind of laid out in the personal survey, right? Like way back at the beginning, a couple of assignments ago. You each have your own set of personal goals for why you're taking this course, what you're looking to do with it. Some of you are just designing your own property. Some of you are wanting to turn this into a career. Some of you are exploring it. Maybe this, something, there's a whole range. So you can actually think of this project as like your first portfolio project. So if you want to go deep and just get those articles, summarize them, get some images, some images and figures and stuff are really nice. And I know in a few I have left comments where this could really get consolidated. And that's where I'm seeing I don't need 12 zoomed out site, photos of the site or repetitive information. But if you've got a body of research or some papers or something that you want to summarize, show some of the figures and the maps or whatever, you're totally welcome to do that. I'm grading off of the rubric. So the rubric that's outlined in the assignment resources, as an instructor and as a grader, that's my job, is to make sure that you've hit those targets. No, I try to be as flexible as I can with that box, but as long as those requirements are met, you can go wild. If you're looking, say, to become a sustainable development coordinator for Malta or for your locality, no, okay, no, whatever. But if that's something, if you want to go deep in that area, you are absolutely welcome to. But I am not going to award extra marks because I'm wow, you threw a whole bunch of research in here. But as long as you've met those requirements that are laid out in the rubric, I'm totally fine with how far you want to take that, or even kind of what direction. If you want to focus on some of the local social challenges. I know you talked a little bit about how those property, if anybody's not familiar with this already, those properties are really dispersed, and the family doesn't even know where they've got land or where they've got plots. Is that correct? That was my interpretation.
That's correct. Yeah, I was even reading a very interesting study that was published in 2020, so already 4 years old, that the percentage, the decrease of usable arable land in a sense has been reduced by 6% just from 2010 to 2020. the age of the farmers is increasing to an average of 57. There's many young kids trying to come in, but they're being blocked. But there's a whole line of things, and exactly as you were mentioning, Susan, not that I am looking for extra points for being detailed and nerdy, but actually to cover the rubric and fulfill all the assignments as requested. Because if I get too stranded, I believe that I will go into a big rabbit hole and maybe not even answer the question. So thank you for clarifying that, and it brings a lot of focus into what are the guidelines.
Okay, sure. I can totally relate to that. I mean, I just did a site visit for somebody and I said he could expect a 5 to 7 page report, and he got 66 pages with a folder full of appendices. So I can totally relate to the rabbit hole. And I was just like, hey, I'm kind of trying to help you, but I also don't want to go back and I just don't have the capacity to do a full design for him. So I was like, I'm going to throw the book at you, but I totally understand wormholes. Absolutely. So, okay, I'm glad that helped. Strategies for resilience. It's a little bit nebulous, but it's basically going to be like, how are you going to weather all of these challenges? Are you yeah, I mean, you can look to like gray water, water reuse or water recycling, building community relationships, growing more food on site, or connecting with other people that are growing food in the area. Like there's lots of different ways that you can look to build resilience based on the challenges that you've outlined. So this is basically just going to be really quick, a summary of that. So what the main problems are, and then what kind of solutions you're looking to implement directly on your site. So of course, there's more examples here you can look to. And a lot of these are they're not cookie cutter, but they kind of are. Plant diversity, developing soil, implementing more sustainable water reuse, developing a local community or regional network, sharing surplus, cleaning things up where that's needed. So some of it can feel a little bit generalized, but a lot of the solutions that we need really are the same ones of just what I named, like building soil and community and becoming more resilient with our food supply. So that should summarize that. And then you've got another SWOT analysis, which might almost feel redundant at this point, but it's another kind of summary. And then here with your final thoughts, you can reflect on, you can reflect specifically on how the assignment went for you. You can reflect on different things that popped out, or oh, I really learned something. This is kind of open season. So I'm seeing a lot of variation between students' responses on this. A couple of sentences is great. And that variety is perfectly fine. So just, whatever came up for you, or, this was really frustrating, this was really fun, I learned a lot. I found strengths or opportunities that I didn't realize were there, so on. So, okay. And then the sector compass is actually one of my favorite ones to mark. I think, I really like it, like this one. So there's a couple of different formats that you could use. You could use, oh, let me see. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So there's two different layouts here. This is how they laid it out. Some students use this one with all the different aspects along the left. Personally, I'm biased towards this one. I like it. I like seeing the colors laid out. There is also this option if you want to put them into separate boxes. One of the things that often gets overlooked, because it's on this slide and it's not on this one, in the rubric, it's very specific about closest grocery store, population center, fuel station, nearby stores, hospital, and public space noted. So some of those things you should be able to actually note one of those for each. That's 1 point for the whole thing. So just note what you've got here, but don't forget to add these distances, because it's important to I would say especially for a community site, but really for anyone. You want to know how far you are from a hospital. Is that something that you're going to have to plan for, especially if you've got people coming onto site? What's your nearest public space that you might be able to look to as a wild space example, kind of a zone 5. Your nearest population center or population centers, if there's kind of one this direction, one that direction, and then a grocery store, which of course many of us are trying to move away from, but remain a reality. For each of these aspects, you're going to have some options to either figure out how to use it, deflect it, amplify it. And so just make a note about how you plan to address each of those issues. Okay. I think this is fairly straightforward editing. Oh, I think I just lost them in the chat. Okay. Okay, Ren, I'm going to answer your question in just a second. I saw it there. Yeah, so if you want to add a sector that's not lined up here, just grab one of these. You can grab one of these circles, change the color, rotate it, expand it, contract it. If you take one that's already open, this one I've only shared for commenting, so I can't actually edit it while I'm sitting here. But if you take one that's already open, you'll get like a little diamond or a little square on the end of each line, and then you can shorten that or lengthen it to meet that sector.
Super cool.
Yeah, and this is just a really nice way of mapping like all the stuff that's coming onto your site. It can be a little bit visually cluttered at first, but once you get used to seeing them, it's quite a quick way of seeing like, okay, this is where my summer sun, this is my winter sun, this is where like summer winds, winter winds, noise, smells, pollution, whatever is coming into the site. And it's a really nice way of centralizing it. There's resources for getting your summer and winter angles in the topic. I want to make sure I go to the right one. I think this is office hours. Yeah, well, it'll be in your assignment resources. Oh, here it is. Here we go. How to make your section drawing. Now here, how to create arcs. There's a little thing about that. Okay, here's your solar angle, sun calc. So I use sun calc. There's a couple of others. If you search like calculating sun angles, you'll get different options, and you can play with, find out what you like. But really, this is just how high the summer sun goes up and how low it comes down. Okay. Any questions there? No. Okay. There is, and some people get confused about the term azimuth. I've got a little explanation in my notion here, but it's just like if you're looking straight north, your azimuth is on like a horizontal plane, and it's how many degrees from north it is. So say like this is north, this is due east. Then say if you've got an item like if you've got say like a star or like your moon is here, or whatever, your sun at that point comes out to here, then your azimuth is going to be like 75 degrees. So that's 90, and that's going to be, I'm trying to stay in the camera here, that's going to be about 75. So you can find different explanations of azimuth, but just work through it, look at different examples, and kind of try to get like a visceral sense of it. Like that was really like years ago what it took me figuring out, like terms like the azimuth and the elevation of a celestial body was just really physically like, okay, azimuth is on this plane, your zenith is straight up, and so your elevation is going to be on that vertical plane, and then figuring out where it is laterally. And that just helps you figure out like where your shade pattern is going to be. How are you going to be able to calculate for buildings, for tree shade, so on. Okay. And then this is all, I think you all have this down pat by now, your information. Straightforward. Okay, and then your SWOT analysis. So that one's, I mean, it's a little involved, but it's really just one slide and then your SWOT. Don't do both, just pick one and then delete the other one. Okay. Oh, and that's it. Sorry, I'm moving on to microclimates already, and that's your lesson 3. So I think it's one that students typically do really well on. I don't get a lot of complaints or issues about it, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there's anything else coming up. How are you doing, Lucia? Your eyes are kind of like, are you still with us? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just looking on the screen and reading. So
okay. Okay.
I'm having issues with the internet, so it's like on and off for me right now. So
Okay. Are there any questions about either that assignment or Councilman Lewis? Yes.
Yes. So I submitted my I guess the third assignment, and going over the hillside and the erosion and the fire department, I I realized I actually left out a very important slide. I could submit that slide. I just added that slide just now.
Yeah.
When you click on that link, that slide will be there, right?
Oh.
Yes.
Or do I have
If
to?
you update anything, if you update anything, you don't have to change the link. So,
Okay, great. Wonderful.
okay, so do you want me to take you off my marking list for today?
No.
Okay.
I'm good. I already did it.
Oh, okay, great.
good to know.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you don't have to repost it, you don't have to update it. Sometimes if it's like if it's like you submitted, less than one, but you missed one of the assignment, like there was 3 assignments and you only submitted 1 or 2 of them, then I'll have skipped that over. And if you've gone back and fixed that, then make sure to like leave a comment or get my attention, send me an email or something that you've completed that, and then I'll know to go. Otherwise, I mean, I do keep cycling back through them and checking them to see if they've been updated, but I've got students that have like, they've submitted lesson 6, they didn't do lesson 5, now they've got lesson 7 in, and I have to keep checking back. And it would be really nice if I just got an email saying like, okay, lesson 5 is done now, rather than continually like going back to check. Because I don't like to miss assignments on students, but it does happen. I try to like, I really try to like keep going back through where, somebody's submitted. Sometimes people will like make a comment and then speed grade or registers it as that you've submitted your assignment, but you've actually just made a comment. So there is some like checking back and forth, and sometimes in that checking back and forth, I miss something. So yeah, I do my best, but yeah, you don't need to repost the link. So that's a good question.
Okay, great.
Okay. I'm gonna go, I've got a list here. If I don't know if anyone's gone to the Notion link yet. I'm gonna do a little screen share on that actually. Stop share. It's a little disorganized because it's been brought over. It's been kind of the evolution from Google Doc with questions, which I know like some of the other assignments, I hated keeping the Google Doc updated, and it just became like this tangled mess. But if you're ever interested, if you have a little extra time, if you click on the Notion link that I provide with like every time I upload the office hours. No, oh wait, maybe I can just do this. Yeah, so this is what you should see when you click on the link. There we go. I want to go to, oh, maybe I can go back this way. There, you should be able to see all of these lessons. You should actually be able to go all the way back to the office hour calls. But each one of these, each one of the lessons, I've still got some work to do on this, but I've tried to keep track of like, what comments what questions people have asked, specific grading comments that I've made that seem to apply to multiple different students. So like I said, they're kind of a mess. There's a rubric in each of them. Just like some technical notes, questions that keep coming up. I'm continually working to like organize this and refine it. So it's really like if you've got a little extra time, because I know there's a lot of assignment resources. But you can have a gander around there and just see what questions and comments I've saved from previous cohorts questions. And those are always linked. I gotta find one that's a little bit further back. That's the one. Here. Okay, so you can view all of the video recordings, call summaries, and Q&A for the office hours here in Notion. If you open that as a tab, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so here's for Yeah, so this will give you recordings to all of the cohorts. You know, there's some of these have notes from the individual calls or a Q&A. I really got more organized about doing this with, I think, summer 2023 and then fall 2023. So you guys are kind of getting you guys are getting the most updated or newest version. But yeah, there's going to be some notes from the calls. This is where I put the FAQ. So, you know, this is it's in the YouTube video, it's in the discussion, and it's also here. So, you know, there's different places that I've kind of dumped all this information so that if you've got a specific question about the assignment, you can poke around in here and see if that question's already been answered. I don't know. I hope it's helpful. It's more organized than the Google Doc was. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that was there, because it's meant to be helpful if, you know, if you're looking to get a specific question answered, you know, without waiting for a response or an email back. So okay, that's all I've got for covering. Any other questions or?
Just a final question, if I may. I have a lot of, I would love to interact more with everyone else in the course and maybe ask a couple of questions of curiosities and get experience from other people. Where would be the best place? Could I do that in any of the discussion panels?
You can do the discussion panels, but it's, oh, there is a main help forum. Go all the way back. I find Canvas a little bit onerous to navigate personally. So, you know, if you're feeling the same, don't. So there is this main help discussion board. You can connect there. You can post your design portfolio if you want to share it with students beyond just our group. So I think there's generally 200 to 300 students going through the course from all over the world. So you can get more, you know, you can get more feedback or connect with people there. There is a WhatsApp group, which is not particularly active. And I think personally the best is the Facebook group. So I'm going to find that. No. Just say that.
Susan, I'm going to jump off. I sent an email with some information just now. Thank you for the office call.
Thank you, Jesse. Nice to see you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so here's the Facebook group, OSU PDC Students and Alumni. So you're welcome to join that group. I can drop it in the chat right now. Okay, there you go. So yeah, if you join the Facebook group, there's people making comments. There's not a ton of activity in there, but you know, the more the merrier. There's so far 1,300 students, so that's a good way to connect. We have been working on a map, which I would really like to see, but there's issues with privacy and getting people updating locations accurately so that it's consistent, and you know, you don't have like duplicate listings and stuff. So I know Dow was working on that last fall, and I'm not sure where they've gotten to with it yet. But you know, like really a map sort of thing is ideal. Okay. Any difference marking? Okay. Oh, so you're really excited about the sector compass? Is that what you're referring to, Ren? Any difference marking places and distances? They're just going to be longer distances. That's all. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Any others? No? Oh, did anybody have a hard time finding a topographic map? That they don't know? Okay. I'm going to record this right now because Ali Morgan was having an issue. So usually if you're in the US, you should just be able to search through your county data. And usually if you search like name of your city, your county, or your state rather, contour data topographic map, you will find a bunch of resources, and you'll usually find like a county resource, and you gotta kind of like click through things. But there is an interactive map.
So this time when I was doing, I was looking at the water rights, because he has water rights on this farm, and I wanted to know what maybe potential problems that could cause. Actually, the site I went to look at water rights for the area had a lot of topo maps, and I had no idea that that would even be, you know, something, but it just showed all the different water sources, the rivers. It showed, yeah, a lot of, and it showed the different topos and slopes, and it had a lot of information that I would not have even thought to look at. Okay, that's probably going to come up really useful in lesson 5 then, when you're looking at different watershed, like the macro and micro watershed. So that's good to know. Flag that, you know, save it or bookmark it, and you'll have that for that lesson coming up. So, okay. Well, yeah, it really depends. I mean, some counties have, you know, some states have better data than others. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the contour map generator. Like, you can get a map, but if you actually look at the data underlying it, I think the smallest error is 7.5 feet, and that's for a fairly limited area. So most of them are like 3 meter, you know, 3 meter, which is almost 10 feet of error, which is a pretty big, you know, so that means like if we've got a line here, it could be 10 feet, you know, this way or 10 feet that way, you know, it's an aggregate of data. So I personally, if you can, I really recommend getting like more localized topographic information. Like, it's quite useful for sites, you know, parts of the world that really have no topographic maps available, for like larger areas where, you know, a kind of an average like that is okay to just get like the general lay of the land. But for really small sites, or, you know, even at a fairly localized scale, it's inaccurate enough to not be something I feel very comfortable recommending. So it sounds like.
Well, if it's a rural area like where we are, there is no topographic survey hasn't been done here. So, but we are building on the land, so I have a surveyor to do the topo map for me. So that's, yeah, because we had to do it for the permits and whatnot. But I know, like, if there's somebody in some areas not close to the big cities or small cities or anywhere, they might not find it, even though it's in the US. So just, yeah. And we are close to Joshua Tree in Mojave.
Joshua Tree, okay. Yeah, and a lot of them are you know, driven by like, you know, geology, oil mapping, that sort of thing. So a lot of, like, the coast really got a lot of the mapping to start with LiDAR data and stuff. So okay, well, no more questions. We lost a few people. It's good to see all your faces. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, you guys have a great week, and we'll see all those lessons coming in next Monday. Or feel free to submit early too. So if I can mark ahead, I will. So okay.
I'll try to catch up. I know I'm behind, but I'm working on it.
Okay, sounds good, Lucia. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Bye.